noise for Biz Credit Bills. And while we're in the energy of making some noise, let's make some noise for the visionary, Miss Charlena Snyder. Listen, I'm so excited. How many people want to know about building business credit? How many people have been trying to build a dream and it has just been out of grasp because it is so big? How many people have tried it on their own, like me, and got a bachelor's degree at YouTube University, and you tried the ones that said, you know what I'm saying, like, it don't matter how your credit is, you can do this. You tried the ones that was like, no, yo, you have to do this, and this. And so you went and bought a whole bunch. Never mind, that's me. That's nobody. I bought everything. I bought all the stuff. And so I'm excited to have the expert here. Somebody say expert. Miss Sarah Sabastro. Am I saying that right? Got it. Somebody make some noise. Excited. Come on up. Woo, I'm excited. Listen, I'm gonna ask these questions for a friend. And a friend is me, okay? All right, so while we're right here, just go ahead and tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what's your favorite food.
Okay.
Let's switch it up a little bit.
Yes. So who I am, I'm a visionary. I'm a servant of God. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an investor. Most importantly, I am a servant of God, and I am ready to impart in all of you guys. My favorite food is anything. I love to eat. I'm a foodie.
Okay.
Salty.
So what is your favorite? Anything just isn't fair.
So I'm a seafood eater. So snow crab legs all day long and some bread. Coffee and bread early in the morning, all day long. And you would always have me at some seltzer water, like I drink seltzer water all day. I'm addicted to it. It's bad.
I love it. So we are excited. Y'all excited, right? Because y'all real quiet, and I don't even know what to do with this quietness. Y'all gonna be a talk back church, ain't y'all? Okay. Because we need a talk back church, don't we?
Yes. Listen.
Y'all heard her say she's a talk back. She's a, what you say?
I'm a servant of God.
I'm a servant of God. Ain't nobody make no noise. I thought it would be, okay. Girl, because I felt, okay, here we go. All right. So let's just jump into it. So obviously tonight we're talking about building a better business foundation and funding for our business. What got you into this? Where did all of this come from? Let's go back to Lil Sarah.
So I was probably like many other you women, and then in this audience, I went through a time where I was tired of struggling. I went through a terrible divorce, and corporate America just wasn't working. I felt like I wasn't making enough. I was tired of eviction notices. I was tired of paying a car payment late. I was tired of running. I was tired of struggling. So for me, entrepreneurship ran in my family. My father owned a roofing company. My mother did hair on the side, cleaned houses, whatever for money. I'm Puerto Rican, so we're gonna get a bag. Yes. And for me, it was always, my mother always had me with her. And listen, we're gonna work, and then she gonna treat you to McDonald's later, but she did what she had to do. So for me, I just wasn't for this cycle anymore. And it was important it's important for me to emphasize that a sister was just tired. I went into a bad divorce. I wasn't even married for long. And I think I was looking for the right answers in the wrong places. And it was through that hardship that I got closer to God, and he started opening some doors. He started aligning gifts that I didn't know that I had. Things that were probably imparted in me forever, but you just are used to the same routine over and over again, so you don't realize how much a blessing you are or what kind of gifts you have, because you are so, what I called, society teaches us to do the same thing over and over and over. This is our normalcy, and it was only through Christ that I definitely cried out to God in what I thought a moment of loneliness and hardship and stress, but once I trusted God, he opened up doors that without me even knowing, it just started happening seamlessly. So I definitely would say that everything was birthed in hardship and in crying and in pain. And when it was, I probably didn't even notice that it was there for a while. It was, him constantly sending people to remind me, because you guys probably have had people to say, "You are so good at this." "Oh, thank you, girl." Or you're probably the go-to person when it comes to certain things, and you don't even, it comes so natural to you, you probably don't even realize that it's your gift, right? We don't take advantage of the gifts that God imparts us, whether it's cooking, whether it's sharing a word with someone, whether it's hair, decorating. Like, we all have these gifts, and sometimes we get so accustomed to giving them for free,
Right.
that we don't align with getting paid for them because we're so good at them.
Right. That's really good. That's really good. So would you say that what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made you say,
I'm so
okay, Lord? Because I do feel like he sends us 5011, okay? He sends us 5011 people, reminders, situations, constant cycles, honestly. Like the same exact lesson a million times. So what was that moment, that straw that broke the camel's back that made you say, okay, I'm going to try something?
So I was raised in the church. My mother planted those seeds very early. I'm a product of the hood. My family comes from nothing. And my mother always made it work, and my father. So those seeds were always there. I think, at the time that I was going through my divorce, I had never called on God so hard before. I could remember receiving those papers at work. I was at a corporate job. I was making 6 figures, and like, I walked out to my car. I was managing maybe about 173 people at the time. So I got into my car, and I started crying, and I got a knock on the window. It was my boss, my director, and she was just like, "Dry your tears." And she had handed me a card for a lawyer, and she was just like, "Nothing happens without reason. Trust God in everything." And it just woke up, okay, get yourself together.
Right.
You have those reminder moments where you just get a wind of fresh air and you get yourself together. We experience it as mothers, that crying in the bathroom because your kids, or you having a hard day, you can't take it no more. It was one of those moments that it just woke me up, and it woke me up differently. I definitely became a different person because I had lost myself in being a mom, being a wife, being a boss at work in corporate America. And I never really thought about myself. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to plan because I manage managers. So I had to plan my day that early, and I work with people who were not me. I was probably the darkest person in the room. So for me, when you're sitting at the table, right, with people that you don't belong there, but favor has put you there. You plan ahead of time because you always got to be 10 steps ahead of the game, right? You don't have, at the time I didn't have a master's, I didn't have all of these credentials that these other people had. So for me, it was just like, oh, I got to put on face, right? And it gets tiring. You are different. You a different person at work. You pick up that phone, hey, it becomes tiring. So
You call that two-face.
And then when you get home, hey girl, how you doing? But hi, yes. So for me, that knock on that window just definitely blew some air in me. It woke up a different part of me. It definitely gave me hope.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. And so now that you have this hope, you things have changed and you're adjusting. What was your first business venture?
Ooh. So
You started, it sounds like at this moment you're starting to, it sounds like you were awakened to the entrepreneur part of yourself.
So corporate America, thankfully, I was a business consultant, and I managed managers, right? So my return on investment, looking at business laws, I always had to procure contracts and put in requests for contracts. He was aligning those pieces, right? I didn't know, right? At the same time, I would travel to Chicago once per month. I was blessed. I thought I had it going on. And for me, it was just like, thank you, Lord. I'm moving on up. And in all reality, it wasn't God's plan. Because lots of times we are on our own plans, but not God's plan. So I definitely think that corporate America kind of got me ready. On top of that, my ex-husband had owned an IT company, and I helped run that company. I procured contracts for that company. And I was an LPN. So for me, I literally learned IT just from helping him for free. Right? Right? And in procuring these contracts, he was hiring for a project manager, and the requirement was that you needed your PMP. Yeah. Now I'm cheap. Right. So anybody who knows me, like, how can we get this for free? And I essentially, I started looking up boot camps, and I couldn't afford none of them. And I wasn't asking him because you're proud, right? I was like, I'm gonna get this job, and I wanted to be validated by him, because oftentimes you get into situations or get around friendships or even situationships where all these people have credentials and my little LPN certificate. What am I gonna do over here? I had a 2-year degree that took me 6 years to get, because I had ADHD, and God was like, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Trying to help you here.
I'm trying to help you here.
I know you. I made you.
Wasting all this time and getting into debt over things that, like,
Trying to be
my plan, not God's plan. Listen. So I could remember, like yesterday, like, I was like, man, I was so determined to do this. I wrote down in my Bible, like, you have your goals that you stick in there. I was like, I'm gonna get this PMP. And I'm not going to no boot camp. I said, God, help me pass this, because I'm not doing that.
And the PMP is a big deal, is it not?
500 question test,
right?
Prometric, like, it's definitely, it was a whole job. So I went on to Amazon and got me, I think the book was $39, and it was How to Pass Your PMP on the First Try.
Yeah.
Listen,
Listen.
I studied that book back and forth. I would go on to YouTube University,
Yep.
how to study for the exam, all kinds of things. Man, a month and a half later, I took the exam and I passed. And then I had naysayers like, I know people who have their masters that don't pass that. When I said I passed on my first time, and I was like, this is my out. You get like, listen. I went back and he hired me.
Wait, let's pause for a second. Somebody make some noise for passing. So we're glossing over it, but this is like the biggest test ever. The boot camp is literally to help you pass the test verbatim. It's somebody telling you how to pass the test. It's like a big deal. A lot of people take it like multiple times. So I just wanted to give you your kudos for that. Because you did it on your own for $40.
But it wasn't me, it was God, literally.
Yeah.
I don't know how I passed that test.
Right.
Listen, I would wait until he go to work, and I will dig into that book day and night. Like, the consistency for me, right? I had never been so consistent. C's get degrees. Like, when I say I got my LPN on the wing and a prayer. Like, those were not things that I'm not that person. And as you get older, it's harder to learn. Like we all know. And as much as you want to make a commitment to something, life gets in the way. So for me, it was just, I think, out of desperation, right? For wanting out, right? I was like, okay. So at the time, I literally, I went to him and I was like, I got my PNP. He hired me. And I was struggling, and I was doing okay, but maybe like $26 an hour. But I was working 7 at night in the morning to 7 at night to 7 in the morning, and I had the worst patients.
Right.
Right? Because you're not a nurse, you're an LPN.
Right.
And let's be clear, you're their help. So for me, it was just like, this is not going to work. Mm-hmm. And I remember just working and being like, I can't do this much longer, girl. Like, they got for one more time to give me these, like, it was just not for me. So at the time, I just felt like, as a woman, I felt like I didn't fit in. I was having issues in my marriage. Work wasn't working out. I dreaded to go in. Like, you sit in the car, you have to have a conversation with yourself to get out the car. This is not me. And I essentially, I pushed through. So I found this, if I pass this test, only if I pass this test, God, He gonna hire me. I can still work from home, and I'm not making $26 or $27 an hour. Now I can make $50 an hour, right? So I could do more.
Right.
Man, he hired me for $50 an hour. I later found out that he was billing me at $180 an hour.
Wow.
My ex-husband. So for me, it always aligned with my hardship, my divorce. All of those things were building me and teaching me, right? Because if I didn't understand contracts, how did I know what he was paying me per hour and billing me at? Right? If I didn't understand the legality of contractual agreements, payroll, business credit, you can't get a contract, right? You need all of those things. You need funding, right? Because if the government is giving you a contract, right, and they are procurement and contracts land once a year, right, and that contract covers 60 to 80 people, how are you going to pay these people? They want proof in an escrow account that you're able to pay these people. They want proof of insurance. There's a slew of things that they are asking for. So for me, I was doing all those things for him for free. And he had won a contract that I helped write, and I was essentially, every time I went to a consultant, they would be like, $10,000 and I'll get you $100K in business credit. Yeah, I'm not paying you no $10,000. I'm going to learn how to do this myself. I started going to free seminars at SCORE, Navy Federal. I teach business credit for them once a month. local banks. Hey, what do I need? Can you help me?
What was your area of interest? Was it project management? What was it consulting? What was the area of expertise?
So for me, it was the consulting part, right? So I could throw it together all day long for somebody else, but believing that I could do it for myself. And it was when God took everything from me, right? Nice car, nice house, the stability of just swiping. You don't have to worry about nothing. And when God took that away from me, I didn't have a choice but to lean on God.
Right.
I didn't have no. I don't come from a rich family.
Make a call.
My mama can't pay my mortgage.
Right.
I didn't have a mortgage to pay at the time. Like literally, the car wasn't in my name, the house wasn't in my name.
Right.
So
and that's just like God. He can make that.
Listen,
make that
I was at the bottom.
So you can get out of it.
I was at the bottom.
Yeah.
And literally, whenever they knocked on that window, it was just like, okay, now out of desperation, people would naturally call me because I helped him. And he told other people what I did for him, right? And the people who I worked with, right, they're personal consultants that work for my organization. And they're not employees of the company. And I would attend these meetings and network. For years I was doing it. And when they needed help, they would call me and say, hey, for free. Oh, I'll help you, no problem. So I got someone who called me the next day and was like, hey, Sarah, I just want a contract and I need funding. Could you help me? She said, send me a bill. I was like, I don't own a company to send me a bill. Right?
So this is still under your husband's company?
This is still under, I'm working for the corporation. He's billing me out at this an hour. So literally somebody who I work with, voluntold, right? So I get into, now I know that I'm divorcing and I'm by myself. I'm in this big old house for a year. And I kind of went to boot camp on myself. Okay, let me open up an LLC. Let me incorporate myself. Let me get an EIN for myself. And when I talk to somebody for free, I need to bill them, right? Because when I'm at work and a consultant comes in to talk to me, I bill them from my company. Right? When something is going wrong in their department, oh, Sarah, I need you to come in and spend a week here so that you can evaluate or do a risk assessment or consult us on how to fix this. Right? So for me, I started building people, and they gladly started paying me.
No, what was that word?
Gladly.
Gladly. It's a gladly for me. Okay?
And guess what? When they got approvals and when they want things, we sent other people.
How did the first gladly pay bill?
I got a check for $30,000. And I'm laughing because me and Frank had a conversation yesterday. When I say I went to the bank and I was like, that's me. Positive, that's me. And they probably thought I was crazy. But for me, it was just like, okay, God, I see you. Right. I see you. And I was playing with myself for a very long time. Like you don't take yourself seriously, right?
Yeah.
And
that's it.
The first client, I was like, pay me what you feel like you like.
Right.
Pay me whatever.
Just send me a love seed. Y'all know
a $500,000.
You know we'll love offering somebody to death now. Just send me a love offering.
Bless me with whatever you need.
Yeah, just be a blessing.
Right.
Nah,
and then when I opened up that check, I was like, okay, this is real. And I started like out of desperation because I knew I was divorcing. I was living. I started stacking my money, making plans involving God, right? Because that's not, when I say I went through some of my darkest times and I had money, but I didn't, it wasn't mine. So for me,
and it's like knowing that it's about to basically run
out.
You don't even know
Oh, it
where
ran
you're
out.
gonna end up after this, right?
He paid the mortgage, but since you just living in a house.
Wow.
And he's paying you, but you're under his contract. So my boss can't, nothing is mine. Nothing is mine. Everything identified with, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. When I say I was lost in the sauce, I didn't know where to begin, and I was embarrassed. I mean, like literally, like, ooh, it's okay. I was embarrassed. I was definitely embarrassed about my situation. I was embarrassed that I even let myself get so comfortable and then I started to realize that, sis, maybe God is doing this to teach you something. Right? Get on up. And the trusting him part, like I definitely, God always set the right people at the right, not my time, but the right time.
Who are some people that you can remember that you sent in those
Woo!
moments?
I can remember applying for a mortgage, and I went to the bank. My credit score was a 540. I lived in a mini mansion. She was like, sis, I'm gonna step out for a minute and I'll be back. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, but let me talk to you. I was like, listen, my ex-husband just filed for a divorce, and I need to buy my house. And she listened to me. I started to boo-hooing. She didn't even give me a tissue. She walked back out. And I could tell she was struggling. And I was like, God, this is embarrassing. Like, you got me in here. Because we got to be sensitive to God's spirit. Sometimes he sends us places and we don't listen. So for me, anybody who knows me think I'm crazy. So no, that's not where we going. We going over here. That's what he's saying, and that's where I'm going, and I'm awake. I was always super sensitive to God.
Right.
And at the time, I was probably like, listen, all the way deep in my Bible, right? Because when we're going through hardship and God plants those seeds, like for me, I was so embarrassed, I didn't want to talk to nobody. So the only person I could talk to was God. So I literally, God was like, I need you to go to the bank and apply for a mortgage today. I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Listen, I got there, and when that lady came out the room twice, older lady, don't know me from a can of paint.
Right.
She pulled my credit score, and she was just like, I'm going to do something for you because God has placed it in my heart.
Wow.
She added me as an authorized user on 2 of cards. When I say this lady does not know me.
She added you on her cards? Or
She worked for a bank.
that wasn't
I was in Navy Federal. Older white lady.
Wow.
Does not know me.
Wow.
She was like, what I'm doing for you, I need you not to share with anybody. And this is definitely God, it's not me.
Right. Has to be.
And I struggled. I walked out twice because I was having a conversation with him about why you here. In 30 days, I was in a house. I told her my budget was $125,000. She's like, sis, where are you trying to live? On a shack on the side of the street? Like, we are in Howard County, one of the richest counties in Maryland. When I say I came across a house, the family was in the military and they needed to leave ASAP. They were like, if you close in 10 days, I'll take $50,000 off of the price of the house. They covered my closing costs completely. And the real estate agent paid for my homeowner's insurance for 2 years.
So this is God moving mountains. Really is what's happening right now.
But God, I first of all, I didn't share with my family. I have a loud, Latoya works with me, a very large and loud family. When I say they would come visit me, they didn't even know that I no longer live with my ex-husband. Like I would, girl, everything is great.
Yeah.
When I say I moved and was doing all of this, I didn't tell nobody. I called my mother and I told her that I had just bought a house and that I had officially divorced. And she's like, I can't pay your mortgage. Why? Why are you doing this to me? Because that's what, like, we are raised in that, right? I said, Mom, God got me and I'm going to be okay. Right. And I remember just sitting in the floor of that house that first day and just like, thank you, God. I'm forever indebted to you because for me, that day I found, not that I'm only covered in grace and favor, but that you can start over from anything. Yeah. Sometimes we put ourselves in situations because we are desperate to fit society's mold. We want to be happy because of materialistic things, because we think that having the stability of somebody that doesn't align with us, you know, God sent me this person. No, God didn't. You saw the red flags. I saw the red flags. Listen, come on, we got to be honest with ourselves.
Help us.
That gut feeling that God's tapping you on your shoulder, that's real, honey. That is real.
That's really good. Man, this is good so far? I'm loving it. I'm loving the transparency of this conversation.
Yes.
Just from having it all to losing it all. I feel like that the whole world can kind of attest to that, like starting over and then starting over and then starting over, which is why I asked, what was that point? Because we all go through it over and over again. God is literally trying to put you in a corner that you have to surrender. It seems like that's what he does. He puts you in a moment that you have no choice but to surrender until we find a way to not surrender still. It's the craziest thing. We just adjust to it. Actually is what happens.
It becomes our normalcy.
It's normal.
To not be happy, to deal with.
Keep saving face.
Because of embarrassment, because you don't want nobody to say I told you so. Girl, I've had 3 or 4 lives. Listen, I start over quick.
Listen.
If God says it's not mine, it's his. So if he say, listen, this is not the move, let it go. He never took anything away from me without blessing me double, triple, quadruple portion. And for me, even what I have now, it's not mine. You gotta operate in his vision and his purpose for your life, not your own. And that's what it taught me. Like, you wasting your time, sis. I appreciate your goals.
Right.
But are they God's goals? That part.
Whew, that was good for you. I appreciate your goals, but are they God's goals? Let's think about that. Now let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit, because we are here to talk about building business credit. And so obviously you've gone through all these different things, and you've worked in business. You're in an internship. I like to call it an internship.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's what you was doing. And until you got your own business, before we even get into it, why do we need business credit? What is so wrong with starting your business, what you have, with your savings?
Everything is wrong with it. I think that we as entrepreneurs sometimes operate without without knowing the basics, right? And it's no fault of our own. No one ever taught us about entrepreneurship. Quite frankly, during COVID, we're experiencing people not wanting to come back to work because so many entrepreneurs have been born in the past 2 years. 40% of state government have literally supported small businesses, and they've provided funding, they've provided all of these tools. They hire people like me to come in and talk to entrepreneurs like yourself. And I think that what happens is that we don't learn the importance of doing things in the beginning the right way. And then when you get to somebody like me, as Charlene or Tyra or Latoya, I tear it apart, right? Because the credibility of and the ethical portion is what tells a story. I will tell you in a minute. I don't care if you've been open 6 months or 10 years. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And for me, when I'm trying to tell the story to one of my hundreds of lenders or banks that I broker with, when I'm trying to tell your story, I don't care that it's messed up. I care that we're being honest and we're fixing it, right? I don't care that you started your business and as a result, you got some negative things in the beginning, right? But in the past 6 months, we don't have no negative items. I've put money in the bank, right? I've been able to, like cash flow, right? Collateral, cash flow, that's king, right? Even if you take it right back out, learning that when you go to a bank, you can't put a negative loss on your taxes every year, sis. Nobody's gonna lend to you because you're a risk, right? And not feeling sorry for yourself, but like, how do we fix this, right? So the honesty and the transparency. So my clients always learn that I'm not always gonna tell you what you want to hear, but I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. And this is not, oh, I need a loan now. This is okay, what are your goals? You gotta do your due diligence to move the right way, because we're not so pressed to have a seat at the table that we take anything, right? We're in the business of helping your business survive, not being in a position that you took a loan that the interest rate is so high that now they are coming after your personal assets, right? Your car, your possessions, anything that got your name on it. So for me, teaching people about credibility, and we're going to get into that later today, and the foundation, because that is the key. Once you have your foundation correct, oh, you look credible all day long, and let me fish you around. We're going to help you win all day long. Because you know me, right? Now, I can give you a referral, right? And don't worry about it, like literally, God got you, favor. All of those things align with what you're doing. So we don't take no for an answer. You're going to get approved. Now, once you get that money, what you going to do with it? Like having a plan. Like, you're not buying Gucci, right? We're going to reinvest, right? Let's look at your debt, right? Once you reinvest, whatever return you make on that, are you taking a percentage? Because somebody made a sale. Your sale was $27.99, right? $8 of that don't belong to you. It belongs to the IRS. Are we putting it in a separate checking account?
Wow.
The discipline behind being a business owner. Because a lot of us we're not taught that, right? We're not taught that. We just put our money in the bank. Girl, I made a sale. 30% of that don't belong to you. And he coming.
Wholesale, go buy something with it. The entire sale. $27. Now I go and get something for $27. What mindset do we have to have? So I definitely while we're here tonight, not sure how we are on time. Are we good on time? Okay, so couple different things. Firstly, if you do not have a notebook, does everyone have a notebook and a pen? I feel like this is a good moment to get all the information that you need because I do feel like God can do a lot in the time that we have until 2022. And I also feel like whatever we do right now will set up 2022. So this is a great moment to pull out notebooks because I definitely want to go over foundation and then after that. And so before getting into any of that, you talked about discipline, and I think that you talked about discipline, and you also talked about consistency. What type of mindset do we need while on this journey of building business credit? Because I do feel like when God places something in you there, or maybe I'm speaking for me right now, there is this urgency that is in you to get it done right now, like yesterday, because you've wasted so much time. And so what type of mindset should we first establish before we establish this business credit?
So I think that when we go into entrepreneurship, we should first have a positive mindset, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to win regardless. Right?
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of naysayers, or sometimes people question themselves. But honey, if he placed that in your spirit, because it starts in your spirit, right? You know. Then you should definitely align with that and ask God for confirmation. And then, listen, if it's for you, he's never going to send your mail to the wrong address.
That's so good.
Never. What's for you is for you. So for me, that mindset, right? That your vision, your goals, right? Start aligning with God, and they're going to change a million times. Remember what I said about your goals are not God's goals, right? You're going to write down your goals, but they're going to change a million times. And starting like with the small things, right? Educating ourselves is one of the biggest things. We all want to be entrepreneurs. We all want to win, but nobody wants to spend time in the books.
That's good.
You got to invest in yourself, sis. And if that means visiting the library, educating yourself. Latoya knows, who is our target audience? Who are we looking to touch? Who's doing the same thing we're doing in the same area? And who's the best at it? You should be following them on social media. You should be you know when you up lurking at people that you don't need to be lurking? Right. You shouldn't be, listen, your social media page should be following people that do what you do. Yeah, sure. Nobody else. Not your sister, not your friend, not your cousin. They can follow you all day long. They'll show up on your timeline if you want to be nosy. But who you follow matters.
That's so good.
Because that's what you see, right? Even when you're trying to control what you see on social media, what you come out your mouth, what you listen to.
Yeah.
People's access to you. If you really align, sis, then the sacrificing. Nah, I'm not doing that.
Sis and bro, it's like,
yes. Listen, I'm talking to everyone here, and what I'm imparting in you, you should be imparting in somebody else.
That's good.
It is your job, right? If God gives you a gift, it is your job to do right by that gift.
Yeah.
Period. It's not because of you. It's because of him. So for me, the vision part, right? That means taking the time to get better at that. Girl, taking a class at a community college. I didn't have no money, so I went the free route. Every networking event that SCORE had, SBA. Oh, I'm being a business loan broker. None of my people, listen, I'm going to get this funding. And lots of those things went through because of my relationships with those people. because I bug them, because I ask questions. And people like me don't mind giving away for free. A lot of you guys jump in my inbox on a regular basis. I'm like, no problem. Like, this what you need to do, this what you need to do. And sometimes it's not me, it's Latoya answering, like my people answering. But literally, yes, like the foundation starts with knowing that you need help.
Yes. And admitting it, right? Like
No successful business was birthed by not needing somebody.
That's good.
Let's get away from those Miss Independent days. I want you to be independent all day long. I want you to take care of yourself. But we as women were not intended for that. Period. It takes a village.
Yeah.
Check the people around you. How are they contributing to that? Sometimes you gotta put people on ice, people that don't believe in you, people who don't always have the nicest things to say, people who hate on you on the low. Come on now, like, you got the haters. Let's be honest. You feel it. God shows you. You want to see the best in people, but are they seeing the best in you? That's important. That's the foundation. And once you make a decision, then okay, let me do things the right way. We're not cutting corners, sis. Because I know somebody. Hello? Because I know somebody who knows somebody. So they just going to push my paperwork through. And we not going to put on there that I'm an only employee, because if I start off as a sole proprietor, because everything don't serve us, right? And we all have to start somewhere, right? Because I want to be a corporation, but are you operating like a corporation? If not, then you should be a sole proprietor. When you get the assistant, we upgrade you. We do an amendment to your paperwork, and as soon as we do an amendment to your paperwork, sis, then we get you there. There is always nobody just jumps on in. There's always a story behind it. You see Charmaine posting all these nice pictures. She has a story, honey. It was years of her not doing that before she got her business off the ground. It looks good, it looks great. But you don't know what she... Right. Was you with her when she was shooting in the gym? Like, no, seriously, like, was you with her when she was wrestling with finding the right vendor? When she ordered stuff and it didn't come? When she has to pay mortgage on something and nobody has paid the rent? Let's talk about it. When insurance is due and we got house bills and we got kids and I got to pick a side. When you're the reason that other people eat, it's different. You got a different form of responsibility. So for me, when you move the right way, you have a conscience about what you do, then things automatically align.
Wow.
Period.
So good. So good. So let's go over the foundation of establishing a business correctly.
So there are several things. Can you hear? So there are several things that you essentially need to build business credibility and a foundation. The first one being filing your paperwork correctly. Most people, when they file their EIN or an LLC, they put their self as a registered agent. They put their personal address on their paperwork. Because we don't know no better.
Let me put my toes back. Stuff on the East Coast.
Listen.
I learned that on YouTube.
So literally, the importance of having a virtual address or leaning on, like, you support and love me. Sis, let me use your business address. Give me a suite number. I don't have to reside here. Let me pay you $30 a month. You can get my mail here, sis, until I can afford to be somewhere else. Since you my friend, we all know somebody who has a brick and mortar, right?
That is good. Listen. I'm looking at Shonda.
Yes, look
I'm looking at Shonda right now.
Listen. I mean, like, but would you have known if you ain't asked her? And she said, girl, just use my address, baby, because it takes a village.
I love that.
You suite A, I'm suite 9, 10, and 11. They don't care, right? The business credibility, right? But what you're not going to do is put your personal address on something, and guess what? That's public information.
Yeah.
When I do business with you, the first thing that I do is look you up at your Secretary of State. And we don't do our due diligence to do that, right? Let's talk about it. We hire people that probably been doing what they doing for a month or two. We don't look them up at the Secretary of State. We don't see if they have any complaints with the Better Business Bureau. Wow. And then they took our money, or they didn't provide the service that they said they were going to provide, and you mad at me. No, you got to be mad at yourself. Come on now.
So, but it's right. Listen, they're quiet tonight. No, just kidding.
So the importance of when you file your paperwork, have a business address, a brick and mortar. If you can't afford one, there is things like literally virtual addresses. You want to be in business, sis. That means you're not going to McDonald's this month. You want to spend that $30, $40 on a virtual address.
Now, with the virtual address, do you need the fax number, the phone number, and like all those different things that come along with it?
Yep. So with a virtual address, you want to first make sure that it is not a post office.
Oh, because I have heard about that. So the post office is bad.
Post office is bad. You should Google. Yeah, you should Google your address or Google Earth your address to see what it looks like. If it says I post them on the front, sis, come on now. They know that's you're going to be flagged, right? You want to get a virtual address that is an actual building, right? You may not have a physical office, but if it's not a commercial address, they're going to consider that a post office box. And guess what? You're a risk because of that. So there is analytic software behind when you apply for things. And that analytic software automatically picks up if you're a post office box or not. And guess what? They red flag you. There are 20 business credibility checkpoints. We're going to go through some of them today. And that is one of them. Right?
That's good.
So keep in mind that when you go file your paperwork with the EIN at the IRS, or you go file with your Secretary of State, when you even file for your licensing, all of those things are public. You don't want nobody knowing your home address. I'm sure all of you got to amend that paperwork. It costs like $25 to amend it. You could do it online.
That was my follow-up question. Kid you not. I'm sorry. I was just going to pull your sides.
No, go do that. Literally, it's called an amendment to your articles of organization. The IRS, you could call them over the phone and they'll do it over the phone. And you can even ask them to, hey, now that I updated it, do you mind faxing me a new copy of my EIN as proof that it's been changed? Then all those vendors, that bank account, everything, because that credibility, right? So everything must match. Now that you changed your address there, anything that you've applied with your business, it should match. Sis, you should be having a notebook that is going to be your Bible. In that notebook, you should have all of your paperwork. Vendors that you applied for, when they approved you, if they denied you, and why. What address you use. Your EIN should be in there. And whenever you do business, right? Let me grab my binder. In there, you should be putting affirmations. My business will survive. I am covered. 10 years from now, you better affirm and talk life into your business because that matters. Having a cell phone number, it's not okay. Don't you apply for anything with a cell phone number.
When you mean cell phone, when you say cell phone, what do you mean?
Anything that is tied to a cellular phone number. You should have a landline or a VoIP. You get a Freedom Voice, $9.99. It includes a thing, and then you can put the app on your phone. But you should have a line dedicated specifically to your business.
What about Google, like a Google?
Google Voice
Okay.
is okay, but sometimes they get flagged. So I would definitely have a physical, because you're Google, right? When we build business credit, we should build it not tied to our personal information. Everything should be tied to your EIN.
Gotcha.
Google Voice is tied to your personal information and your personal email. Even if they're going to ask for your social, even if you name it under your business and you open up an account underneath your business, they ask for your social, they don't ask for your EIN. All of that is public information.
This is good.
So
good.
if I'm a lender and I'm lending you $100,000, I'm going to be nosy, a different type of nosy. Let me see how credible this person is. Do they have a real website?
Let's talk about that for a second. With the website, how developed or lack thereof does it have to be?
You can have a landing page. It's the credibility for me. Okay. If you offer services, there should be a link, like a payment link in there. How do people pay you? Cash App ain't it. In case y'all have to know this. Like, literally, you're going to get a 1098 for Cash Apps now. That essentially means they're taxing you on it. You know how you pay insurance? You know how somebody pays you $10.99? The government is now able to tax you on that. So, if you knew better, you do better. No, you can't pay me through Cash App. I need a merchant. Square, PayPal. Protect yourself, right? You should have terms and agreements. Because you don't want chargebacks. If you have a no refund policy, you should have something in writing with the client signing saying that we don't do non-refundables. You can exchange something, but there are terms and conditions. You're starting out. Imagine you selling a $1,000 product and somebody charging you back. Sis, you're going to be sick. If you come onto my page, I make you sign non-refundable 30 times before. Listen, electronically sign, and I'm going to send you something, and then you're going to sign, and then I'm going to go over it with you during our consultation, and I'm going to note that you got to cover yourself, because you do a chargeback, and I've never had a chargeback. Latoya tell you. I'm going to send all of my stuff. And I'll be like, try harder next time, and I'm blocking you. Now you can't ever get my services. Right. I'm the wrong person to want to charge back. Have a conversation with me. I'll give you your money back. I'm the most giving person before you charge me back.
It's over between us?
It's over between us. And I don't care who you said on your behalf. I'm done with you. Block. And literally, I mean, you learn. Those are things that I learned over time, right? Somebody tested me and I was like, oh, this not ever happening again. But those are things that nobody taught me. Nobody had a conversation with me about that. So, Leah, we need to do an ebook on that. How not to get a chargeback.
That's a whole thing.
No, I really have a whole procedure on that.
That's a whole session.
I have a whole procedure on it. But no, seriously though, it's the importance of the credibility part. Right? I'm looking at it from the underwriter's perspective, and I am going to be nosy. If you texting me from ighair@gmail.com, I'll be like, let me go to this website. Let me try her business line. They do that on purpose.
Wow.
You're not asking for $20, sis. You asking if you're going through financing with me, anything that I do is going to change your life. We're not doing this for $20,000. Right? What's the plan? Have you filed your taxes? How many people do I make them amend the taxes? Sis, I love you, but you filed a loss, and I know you made a lot of money. If I look at your bank statements, your business bank statements, you made like $70K. You did not do a loss of $30K because you didn't want an IRS bill. We're going to amend these taxes so that you qualify. And when you get this loan, you're going to pay the IRS off. Because now that we know better, we do better. And that just has to happen to you once. Because next time, Miss Sarah, I got an account, a business tax account. And at the end of the week, every time I go over my books, I made $6,000 this month and I transferred over $500 into my account. You better? That's not your money. And you got the audacity to not charge taxes on an invoice. Why? Because you want your prices to be cheaper? No, sis. I got to pay them, so you got to pay me taxes. Hold people accountable. And if they don't want to purchase from you because you got to charge tax, then sis, I'm not for you. Find somebody else. We cannot be so pressed to want to win and get as much sales if we're not operating in the right way.
Right.
It's not okay.
Right.
Your phone number, your email address, the website. GoDaddy, I think they have 999 domains. You can put they give you a landing page for free. Going into business and building your business credit is an investment. Mm-hmm. So if you don't got money, then this is not for you. Don't do it. Don't go into business. That means that you are going to be sacrificing some of the things that you do personally to put into your business because you are starting a foundation. And once you start making money, then guess what? Those are your operating expenses. If you registered up front, Latoya's going to send you. Latoya does my people's business taxes. She's one of many people that file taxes when we're doing things. And she's going to send you a budget sheet. Most of us can't afford QuickBooks, and that's understandable. So now you have to be disciplined enough to, hey, I paid my business phone bill. Let me put this on here. That's good. And since you need to look through that monthly, if I went to buy printer ink, we put this on here. Was with someone like me needs to put your file together and we ready to move, I'm gonna be like, where your profit and loss statement at? I need your business bank statements. What about your projection statements?
Sarah, question for you. So for someone, because I do feel like, firstly, you're 100, of course you're 1,000,000% correct. I do feel like the pandemic has birthed so many entrepreneurs, but it's birthed entrepreneurs who are coming in from the back door.
Yeah.
I feel like we're not coming in from the front. So we're not coming in from foundation. We're not coming in from, EIN or anything like that. We're just like, let me make these shirts real quick. Yeah. And so how do you go back and correct? Or is there a way to correct, like even with the profit and loss statement? Like how do you go back?
It's never too late.
If you've been doing this, you know what I mean? Basically a hustle. So I have a love and hate relationship with the word hustle. Because I just feel like what God gives us when I only got one.
But listen,
I don't got hustle you for it. But it's like you've been doing it like this, you know what I'm saying, for a long time. And now you have this realization, or now you know better. So how do you go back and you kind of restart?
So it's never too late. Ask for help.
Okay.
When I met Latoya, and I always use her as an example, she owed $30,000 to the IRS.
She did.
She don't anymore, right?
She did.
Latoya, listen.
I was trying not to even look at Toya, but I was just like,
listen.
Sis.
Oh, listen, the difference is 3 or 4 years later, Latoya's now an ERO.
What is that?
She's an enrolled agent for the IRS. She files tax. She's an originator. And she has her P10.
Awesome.
Right? So stop running from people and let's contact them and be like, hey girl, what I need to do to fix this? Because oftentimes we get intimidated. When you hire somebody like me and be like, we not running from nobody. Right? And I speak on your behalf. You sign an authorization so that I represent you, and guess what I do? I go in and negotiate your debt. I owed you that 10 years ago. Come on now. Here's 50% of it. Because we're not hiding from nobody. We're not disputing things that I don't owe you. Right. But you done sold that debt to somebody else.
17 times.
Stop playing with me. What can I do? Give me something in writing saying that if I pay a portion of this, my client pays a portion of this, you're going to take it off. This was her life before moving the right way.
Right.
This is not her forever.
Right.
And so what? Some people, when I get a creditor that just absolutely refuses, I don't care. I'm going to call my cards in and I'm going to be like, look, a few years ago, she went through a hard time. I'm going to write a letter of explanation in the name of Jesus. I'm going to pray over this loan and I'm going to send it in, and guess what? Don't it get approved? Because I tried to settle this debt. I tried to do it the right way. And now that you ain't listening, then I'm going to go around you. But when you're in kingdom entrepreneurship,
yeah,
you have to have a conscience about what you do. We're not cutting corners, because the minute you cut corners, it comes back on you.
Yeah.
And the mistakes that you made, right? That hustle, when you see that sis selling her t-shirts on the side, you take her to the side and do your due diligence to be like, hey, have you filed your EIN?
Yeah.
Sis, I had a good month. Let me pour into you. Let me pick up this $150 charge to start your LLC. That's not very much. I think in Charleston it's like $100. Yeah, $110. Don't spend that on a pair of sneakers regularly. So for me, once you find somebody like that, it's important that you are asking questions. You should, listen, my prayer every morning is when I get up is, God, help me impact whoever I run into today.
That's good.
What can I do to serve them? Because this is not about me. Sis, I seen how you was moving. Something ain't right. It's not my business to know what's going on, but I got you in my prayers. It's important that people have support, and you never know what somebody, listen, I can't tell you how many times I randomly will cash app somebody, or I randomly will, break my Bible out and send you a whole word through a message. And at the bottom, this is nobody's business but me and God. God, I'm just doing God's job. What God put on my heart to do. Listen, we have to be mindful, because we didn't have it. Change the trajectory. It's our job to impart that into other people. Each one teach one. I give away so much for free because no one taught me.
Yeah, you had to learn by experience.
I had to mess up 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
Then I was doing people's stuff. So for me, it was just like, oh, never doing that again. Let me go back and fix that. So when you start off as a hustle, okay, hold yourself accountable. It's never too late. Let's go back to these bank statements. We can always amend or change something. I'm the queen of amending some taxes. The IRS already know. And if they call me to ask why, because I'm on there as the ERO, I'm gonna say, well, I was doing it myself. I ain't have a professional helping me. Oh, okay. Thanks, sis. And I'm gonna take my time paying you too. Next, oftentimes we hinder ourselves from, it's not that we don't meet the requirements, it's that we don't have the requirements.
Right.
Every entrepreneur in this room should have on hand every month the profit and loss statement. Sis, what is making you money? If you have 20 products, what are you selling the most of? Baby, that's what you should be spending marketing dollars on. You want to run a Facebook ad, run it on that. Obviously, people are listening. Ooh, I've been having these shirts here for a few months. We not ordering that again. You should know your numbers.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know your business, how is anyone else going to know your business? And when you come to somebody like me, the bank, I'm going to be like, how much you putting into that account? It matters. It matters. But the credibility and the foundation. The key to business credit is making sure everything matches. Every single thing. Down to the way that you spelled it. Uppercase, lowercase. Everything that, especially that you do electronically, runs analytic software behind it. That analytical software is measuring that everything matches.
Ooh.
It's measuring if you're at a residential address versus a commercial address, if you have a valid VoIP number versus a cell phone, if you're in paychecks, if you're applied somewhere with your personal social security versus your EIN. If you ever owned a business creditor, it's looking for all of that. It's being extra nosy. It's looking to see if you have a website. In seconds, it's looking to see if you have a valid email address.
That's
It's pinging it. Yeah, it's pinging it to see if you have, and based on that, right, there's a formula. There's 20 credibility checkpoints.
You want to go over them real quick?
So it's literally your phone number, and I can send out the list later to Charlena. Your phone number, your email address, your business address, if you're valid with the Secretary of State, if you're valid with the IRS, if you're having a landline versus a cell phone number, if you have a bank account. You can have opened your business for 20 years, and your business officially starts tenure when you open up a business bank account. If your business bank account has a negative balance, they look at that in minutes. You give them permission to do that. If you have a website, if you have negative Google or Yelp reviews, when I say literally in minutes, and when you get that instant, you're approved, that's because you passed. And you don't have more than 6 of them red check marks. Because that's what they, in the system on the back end, they're looking at red check marks.
That's so good.
So that credibility is super important.
I love that you mentioned Google, a Yelp review. So for those of us who have a business where we can get a review, is it necessary to kind of get those, to get that feedback? Or is it better empty?
So it's not that they're using it against you, right? Right? But it's the point of
credibility still says that you exist and people know about you.
Exactly. So they don't care if they're good reviews or bad reviews, but people are leaving reviews because you're obviously doing business with them.
That's so good. I'm using that tonight.
So you definitely should be getting that. But no, literally, on top of that, your business bank rating. right? If you come into a bank, right, that you have a relationship with, and I'm sure all of you guys as entrepreneurs use a bank to put your money in and put your money out of, right? Most people don't know that if you're asking for under $30,000, you don't need financials. Don't care about your financials to get a business line of credit. And oftentimes, we do ourselves a disservice because, sis, you know what we do? We are swiping our personal cards and intercommingling funds. Did you get that, gem? Under 30,000.
Yeah.
You do not need financials. They're going to ask you to do a financial statement. On that financial statement, you're going to put on there how much you have in your accounts. If you own anything, do you want to personally guarantee this? You put no. No.
What does that mean?
So when you personally guarantee a business loan or a business line of credit, that means that you are assuming personal responsibility and liability for it. So God forbid you wake up tomorrow and Mickey doesn't want to do that anymore. And he has about $100,000 debt that he's in that business. That debt goes with that business. Start over. It's not tied to his personal. They're not going to come after his personal assets. Right? They're not going to file a UCC filing. They're not going to come after your house, your wife's assets. So it's so important that when you build business credit that it's not tied to you should never use your personal social security number.
So when they ask for your social, do you put your EIN?
Yes.
Listen, I'm asking for myself.
And you should put not personally guaranteeing.
Gotcha.
Walk away, sisters. They ask you, we don't personally guarantee nothing unless it's a card that you like. Like I like my American Express because I get points. I'm a points person. But they require that I personally guarantee it. But I also know that they do not report. So if your business line of credit or your vendor account doesn't report, then sis, you don't need it. You're in the business of building business credit. We're not getting cards just to get them unless you personally want them. But know that with that comes the responsibility of not carrying over balances, not overspending. This is not, oh, I got a $10,000 line of credit. That's not a vacation. No, you got to pay that back. Your debt to income ratio matters.
Okay, so you were just saying, okay, so do not, when they ask if you want to personally guarantee, you say no.
Yes. There's usually a check mark.
Because these seem like notes. I don't know if y'all taking notes, but these are good for me.
Yeah.
And then, so what after that?
So so after opening up your business line of credit, you start with tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 accounts. Like I'm in the business of ethically building your business credit. We not skipping steps, sis. Like you're not buying trade lines. Do not buy business trade lines. If you come to me and you have business trade lines, I am going to say I cannot help you. Take that off of your account. Because for me, I work with reputable banks that I fight for good interest rates for. And if they see that on your account, guess what, sis? They automatically know that you fudged your business credit history. Makes you look bad. Sis, you've been in business for 2 years. You don't have $500,000 worth of business credit lines. Go sit down somewhere. Where you get these from? And they was just added on 6 months ago. We nosy. We can see. Where you going? And 2 weeks ago, it just jumped on there, girl. I got my business credit score jumped. I'm sure it did. Take that mess off of there. I can't help you with it on there. So the getting a Dun & Bradstreet number, all those things are free, right? Your paydex score matters. It measures how timely you are on your payments. And 80% of business vendors pull that score, right? What makes your paydex score pop, right? You got vendors, right? Tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 vendors those vendors, when you purchase from them, you should be purchasing. So the trick is, I'm going to teach you the trick. Listen up. Listen. And Charlene learned this, like when she first started with my program, she was like, I purchased and I paid them back a week early. I was like, girl, you need 15 payment experiences to even be on the map. Let me show you how to get them there, right? In 45 days. You want your score to pop in 45 days? Like, I'm the queen of this. I help write some of the analytic software behind Experian Business. I'm in IT. That's what I used to do for a living. You want to make your score pop? Get 5 to 6 vendors. Purchase from them every 10 days and pay them. In 45 days, you have 15 payment experiences. Guess what, sis? You got to pay that score. And you probably going to be in the 80s and 90s. Your payment experiences matter. Remember what I said about business credit. Business credit is an investment. When you purchase, you're going to purchase $50 to $75 from each of those vendors. And you're doing it 5 to 6 vendors at one time. In 45 days, you got 15 payment experiences. And guess what happens? Your payback score pops. And Tyra and Charlene start screaming, like, woo, we got it. Right? Because if nobody tells you, how do you know? Right? People work at it for months before they even, girl, I just got a grade up there. It says I'm a B right now. Because before you get an actual score, they give you a grade.
How do you check your grade?
So literally they are scraping the internet and collecting information like your credit bureau. Dun & Bradstreet collects information, right? So when you apply for a telephone, when you apply for an email address, when you apply for a web address, when somebody leaves information on the internet about your business, they just go and collect it. So sometimes you might see, that's why it's the importance of having your business information matched. Sometimes my Dun & Bradstreet got the wrong address. That means that you opened up a business account or applied for something with the wrong address and they went and collected that information. Because it's free, right? Unless you suppress those reports, they just collect it. The same way that when you have a personal credit report and things pop up on, how do you know I got that address, girl? You're going to apply for something, even if it was 10 years ago, and guess what? Experian, TransUnion, or any Equifax do. They collect that information and add it onto your report, and then you got to go and dispute. That's not my address. They're in the info, and then they sell it to people like LexisNexis. They sell it to people like Credit Check Total, right? Credit agencies collect information. That's why it's important. There's about 14 or 15 of them on the personal side that you suppress all of them. No, you do not have my permission to share my information, like all of my reports. You should be controlling what people see on the internet about you, because when a creditor goes to pull it, they want to see everything. I pulled my LexisNexis report like 10 years ago, and I was so embarrassed. Puerto Rican 81, like at gmail.com, like, ooh, child, this is like
Your first email address?
yes.
Whoa.
Like, listen, they go back about families' addresses on it. I mean, like, they collect information on you. Every accident you've ever had, any city you ever visited, like, if you posted it on the internet, they collected it.
And this is LexisNexis?
Mm-hmm.
Should we look that stuff up?
Yes, you should. You should also go onto Google
Right.
and put that you don't give them permission to share your information. Because if you Google yourself, everything is going to show up. These are platforms that essentially collect information so that when you ask a question, who is Sarah Sabastro, it's going to show up. Control all of that information by not giving them permission. You could even call them, take that off. I didn't give you permission, and they'll take it off. But oftentimes we don't know that. But back to the payment experiences, like once you have that payback score and you have those 15 payment experiences, sis, guess what? Now even there are creditors, I know, with being in business for a year or even 6 months, and you can go get a car in your business name, because that's an expense that you incur anyways. No personal guarantee. They're not asking for financials. You just need to be in good business. Varoom and what's the other one? There's like 3 or 4 people that do corporate financing. They're going to look you up at this, huh? Yeah. Allied and Varoom are Mercedes-Benz, Ford. They all will finance you. They don't care that you're a business and that you're in good standing and that everything matched. What you waiting for to get your Range Rover? But if you can afford it, right? Make sure you can afford it.
Can't afford it. See, that's bad.
That's the point, right? If you are consistent, but if you're paying your own car payment, and you have a car payment already, why not have one under your business name? That way you're building business credit. The credibility. Oh, I gave her a $40,000 car under her business name. Now she want a truck. Why not? You need a few cars? Because if you're credible enough and look on paper, they will give it to you. Corporate line of credit. They're not pulling your financials because you have a payback score and you look credible.
Let's talk about the payback score. I feel like this is for me. Payback score. So I hear so much about it. Exactly what is it, where is it, and what's a good one? What's a good number?
So your payback score ranges from 0 to 100, and it's done by Dun & Bradstreet. So Dun & Bradstreet essentially was intended for government contracting. But because they collect analytics on businesses, and they essentially score you based on risk and the probability of you being successful as a business or not successful as a business. And paybacks in particular is driven by your payment experiences and how fast you pay your payments. Now, experienced business, they measure risk. And also Equifax they have a different risk scoring system, but they all measure how you pay things, right? On your business credit vendors and accounts. So when you are paying those payment experiences, right? Because I'm telling you to pay every 10 days, but they're doing 30 days, right? Or sometimes 60 days, you are essentially conditioning your score, right? And controlling your score, because now you have made 15 payment experiences and they are all way before time. So guess what? Now you have essentially gotten from a grade to a score. A good payback score ranges from 75 to 100, right? If you're in that, you qualify. That's a fair to great credit business score. So a lot of people, especially vendors, like Synchrony Bank, Capital One, Navy Federal, they all look to those scores not to make a decision, because some of them have their own scoring systems or look at your experienced business score, but they look to make sure that the information on there is matching. They also look to see if you have financials, because Dun & Bradstreet collects how many employees you have. They also collect how much money your business is making. If you're tied to a risky industry, right? you're a bail bondsman, if you are in the business of gambling, investing, real estate, all of those are risky industries, right? So you should be choosing industry codes or SIC codes that are making money, right? If you're in a consulting business, business management. I'm a holding company. My company owns other companies, right? And then those companies essentially manage people's money, right? I'm not a bank. I don't do business credit. I don't put that on there because that's a risky industry, right? So we have to think outside the box and look to codes that are generating revenue. Because if you're tied to a risky industry, right? No merchant is going to approve you. They don't want to do business with you. If you say you're in finance, honey, you're their competition. Why are they going to lend to you? So you have to be mindful of the industry codes that are tied. And sometimes you got to clean them up, right? Pull your Dun & Bradstreet report. If you didn't create one and you've been open for a couple of years, check to see if you have one. If you don't want to recreate the wheel, right? If you don't have one, apply for one. When you apply, the trick is to have your articles of organization and your EIN uploaded onto there. That's proof. They're going to call you to verify in about 6 to 7 days, like, hey, I need to speak to the owner of this company. And if you pick up, guess what? You got a Dun & Bradstreet number. If you're unverifiable, they're going to deny you. Don't let nobody charge you. It's free. This is public information. All the things that I'm sharing with you, you could do for free on your own.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Is this good for y'all? Yeah. Y'all taking notes? Wait, let me see some notes. A note check. Note check. Okay, I see the phone. I see. Listen, this is good information. I believe. First of all, like I said before, so much can be done in this space of time. I feel like a lot of people, whenever it comes to the end of a year, there is this pause, there is this break, there is this vacation. Like, all right, we'll be back in 2022. I feel like I just don't feel like that's the energy that God is giving out right now. I think He's saying, listen, you're going to have a strong finish so that you can have a strong start. And so the information that you are just giving us tonight is just so amazing. I'm trying to see how we are on the time. It's just so good, so amazing. And I kind of wanted to switch gears again, just to kind of get some feedback from those who are here, because I believe that we're all in one place for one thing. I mean, this is about business credit. And so I wanted to open it up. If you're open,
Yes.
Charlene, if you're open to questions and answers, who has, because I have 700, if y'all don't, okay? Because this is literally the vein that I'm in right now. And so this is something I've been looking at and studying for years, and honestly just kind of found myself actually kind of scared. So got all these things in order, so the things that you named.
I rebuke the spirit of, listen.
Right.
Don't you put that spirit in there. Don't you talk that over your life. It starts with the manifesting and believing, and I am going to be successful. You got to affirm that over your business.
That's good. Because turns out I have all this information, I just haven't executed, and I haven't tried it. Like thinking I don't. Right. I like that.
Yeah. Join the tribe. We'll hold you accountable.
Join the tribe. Can I?
Yes, come join the tribe.
All right. So we're going to open up this portion to Q&A. If anyone has a question, you just go ahead and stand and ask your question. Listen.
Come through.
Thank you, Chris. Because I'm like, don't all stand at once.
What's up, Chris?
So going from tier 1 to tier 2, what is the qualifications? In my mind, or what I have to do, you gotta have like credit lines to add up to 10,000. I don't know if that's right. What else? It was like 10,000, and I think your pay X going to be over like
80.
And you need to have, gotta have for at least all these accounts for at least.
You're on the right track, Chris. So the qualifications to entering tier 2 accounts literally is having an 80 or above paydex score. The amount of accounts that you have don't matter. It matters that you are paying your bills on time. And if you weren't paying your business bills on time, you wouldn't have that 80 or over payback score. Because that's driven, the payback score is driven by how timely you pay your bill. Do it. And I'm going to send you that list over. Like, do it. Tier 2, you might be able to qualify for some tier 3s depending on your payment experiences. So the payment experience parts are literally what drive you go into your next account, right? So most people who take their time to get to things, but I'm just told you how to do it on 100, right? Because we're not in the business of wasting time, right? And we got things to do. So if you have more than 5 to 6 accounts and that paybacks, do it. She's scared of you covered. If they say no, ask them for a reason why. Okay. But I can guarantee you, if you go on looking at this as a positive experience, and if it's something that you use on a regular basis, what you waiting for? Literally, as you get into tier 2 and tier 3, you want to start aligning with store cards. You want to start aligning with things that you use on a regular basis. Now, like, oh, I did these little accounts that I don't like. But now, let's move on to, an Amazon account that I use all the time and get an Amazon line of credit under my business because my wife orders from Amazon anyways. That's it. or let's look for a gas card because I use my car to get to work every day. And we gotta pay that off anyways if we were paying it in cash or using our debit card. All of those things you probably already qualify for. Just, do it.
Now you did talk about tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. What does tier 1 look like? What is it? So you said
tier 1 are 30 accounts.
Gotcha.
They're usually accounts like we are not in the business, and I tell this to anyone that I'm helping build business credit. We are not in the business of building credit with accounts that do not report. So your first question when you're considering a vendor should be like, hey, do you guys report?
Gotcha.
Dun & Bradstreet experience or Equifax, right? If not, then I'm sorry, I don't need you. Now, if this is, I know people who have like, a lot of you guys order from Alibaba and you guys have all those vendors. Did you guys know that they extend to you net 60 credit? There's no reason you guys should not be in entrepreneurship. Like, you got 60 days to pay these, you flip this back and pay it back. Like literally, I mean, these things are put in place. They're corporate accounts. They know that you spend, especially if you already have an account and you ordering all the time. Right. You have a few people that you work with. Oh, I gotta wait until I re-up before I re-up on vendors or before I re-up on my equipment. Or, now that spring is coming, let me start getting my spring stuff together. Let me start looking at vendors. No, sis, you better be planning. You should be on first quarter.
Right.
Your marketing campaign should be around literally New Year's, Valentine's Day, and then ease on March, and then you should be, in February, you should be looking at quarter 2 goals. You should be planning. The planning part is and not everybody does that. I have fallen victim to that. We get so comfortable, nah, when I'm low, then no, know your numbers, know where you're at, know what's making money. Don't use your money, use other people's money. You should not be using house money.
Son, not the house money.
Yes. We should not be having to have a conversation with our significant other, our husbands, babe, the situation, and I hate this. No. Right? Because you worked hard to build business credit, and now I have a line of credit because I put all this money into the bank, even though I take it right back out. And they know me. So based on that, if it's under $30,000, right? So let me go get this $29,000 credit line. Let me use it up and pay it off. So I don't interrupt what's going on personally, right? Because God forbid I ever had to jump ship, right? I can legally shut down my business and that debt goes with my business. Not that we want to do that because that's not the way we walk in.
Right.
But there are some instances where, God, it happens.
Right.
God tells you walk away, then you can walk away.
That's good.
Yeah, but
Listen, I hope y'all
definitely.
took that marketing. Did y'all hear that?
Yeah, you should be on
okay.
quarter one. What we
Yeah.
doing? What's the
New
goal?
Year's. We have Valentine's Day right now, so. Question?
I'm laughing. I heard.
I have heard.
What you heard? Mm-hmm.
Bradstreet?
Dun and Bradstreet.
Yeah, so what's the difference between those two? And like, which one defines your business credit score?
That's really good.
So yeah. So your Dun and Bradstreet number is what derives your paydex score. So Dun and Bradstreet gives you your paydex. Then there's Experian Business. And then there's also Equifax Business. So the most popular of all three is your paydex, your Dun and Bradstreet score. That's why it's super important that you pull it. If you don't have one, you create one. And the business credibility portion, right? It should match your Secretary of State. It should match your EIN. It should match all of your information. So when you pull it, remember, they're in the business of collecting information. It's very likely that it's going to be incorrect, and you're going to have to make some changes. And you could do that merely by doing a dispute, or you can even call them. They might ask for proof, and you be like, okay, no problem. Let me send you what I got. But it's super important that you drive and control what these agencies are reporting. So your paydex would probably be the most important. Under that, the most popular other product that lenders look at, like Navy Federal, they use Experian Business. Lots of banks use Experian Business, but it's those two are the main products.
That's really good. Have you ever heard of nav.com?
Yes.
Is that good or bad?
Yes, I'm a partner of NAV, and
I just heard about it today.
oh, well, listen, NAV is like your Credit Karma, but for your business. So go on to nav.com, and for me, I always recommend that you get the paid account. There's a credit builder account that you pay about $39.99 for or $129, but it reports as a trade line.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly
all
what
three
I said,
accounts,
yeah.
and we're in the business of reporting. So if you were purchasing from them and they were a vendor, you would be spending $75 every time you purchase. But they're charging you, and guess what? You can add up to 5 different businesses. 5 different businesses. 5. You can add your financials, you can connect them to your bank account, and what they do is that they pre-qualify you for business credit accounts. Not to say that because when you're building, you shouldn't be applying. It's like credit. Leave it alone, sis, if you don't need it. But they report to all 3 business credit bureaus, Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, and also Equifax Business.
Now, y'all have any questions? Because we're about to, okay, because I'm about to bring it on home, you hear me?
So for somebody who is not in this arena, where to like start, like
So like beginner, so like having, so no money, no any.
Hustler at home, I got you.
businesses, the jargon.
So just interested. Gotcha.
I got you. So the first thing I would start with is a business plan. I was a year and a half in business before I even looked at a business plan. And it did me a disservice, right? Especially if we're in a service business. Like, I have so many people who want to run a business. And I'm like, sis, you got procedures? You got a statement of work? You got a mission statement? What is the plan? Right? And I mean, you could get business credit templates. I'm not in the business of recreating things. And I believe in operating in your lane. Right? There are places like Fiverr.com where you can hire a professional consultant. That's what they do for a living. Whether it's a business plan, a logo, all of those things. But you should essentially have all of those things in order before you even go to a Secretary of State. You should have your business address, your phone number, your website. And I'm not saying that it's a must.
Right.
But if you want to start, the first thing is with a plan. And it might not be, you might add on to it every month. And what it started off as might not be where it finishes as. But I would definitely start off with a plan.